So welcome back to another episode of Life on 2. Today, I'm going to be doing an in-depth review of the movie Soul by Disney and Pixar. And I'm just trying to remember where we're going. Tim and I, we're going to go get a snack real quick, and we're going to do a different type of video, all right? I'm excited. I really want to know what you guys think about this format that we're doing, and we'll get into it as it happens. You'll see it. So, I'm going to give my initial thought. I already gave my initial thoughts of the video, or of the movie on my previous video. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic, but I knew I had to watch it again to get a better feel for it, okay? And I'm so happy I rewatched it. I actually talked to Monkey or Omer or Obi, and it was very eye-opening. This is a very deep movie, and I think we're going to be touching on some very, very deep topics today. I hope we do it with as much grace as they did in this film, but I don't think we will, but we'll try. So we're trying out a new style of video today. Movie review, a little bit of talking, I watched Soul and then you watched Soul. I don't know who watched it first, but we just thought it'd be a cool idea to do a film review, talk about what we thought about the movie, be a cool little video. So
Definitely. I watched Soul a few times. It was really good.
Did you? How many times?
3 times.
Damn, okay, I only watched it twice. I thought it was fantastic the first go around, and then the second go around, even better. Like I had a newer perspective, you know what I mean? I feel like, I don't want to say more mature or wiser, but I got to see it and understand it a little bit better.
There's a lot of profound meanings in that film and our animation, and it takes a few viewings to soak it in. I still think about certain scenes and certain aspects of it, and like, damn, this is actually a really deep film,
Yeah. And it's funny because it's a film, even if it's an animated film, but the lighting technique that they used in this, especially for like the performance scenes of Dorothea Williams, and when in the beginning and the end, I felt like they really followed that cinematic lighting technique. It wasn't just an animated film, and I thought that was like something else.
Oh yeah, there's scenes where it just looked like real life, the way the lighting was done and all that. So, really good film. What was your watching it for the first time? Do you think it's like a good movie for adults?
100%. I'm a big fan of Disney Pixar movies though, and I feel like, obviously I grew up watching them, as a kid, and then I always watch them again now, and it's cool to see a different take or a different perspective on them. Right. Some obviously a more mature perspective. So I think that this is definitely no different. You know what I mean? It's going to be, I was saying on one of the videos that I'm going to upload is it's generational. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you'll probably show your kids and they can show their kids, like Lion King or Bambi. But what age group do you think it's for?
That's the thing. It's
what do you say?
I think he said, "My bad, guys." I think anyone can watch it. Like, for instance, my little cousin, she watched it, and she was like 4 years old. And then she told my mom to watch it. It's like, it's a really good movie. And I think there's different levels of understanding in the movie. On one level, it's a comedic body swap. You got the whole body swap concept with the guy being the cat's body. And I think my cousin enjoyed that aspect of it, and also just these different ethereal beings. And just it looks very, it's just the world of it, I can see how a kid can enjoy it. And then from a meanings perspective, I feel like adults can, extract certain profound meanings from it as well. So I think it's for everyone. I'm not sure if the kids would grasp those concepts of the soul and purpose. What do you think about that?
I was actually talking about that with a friend of mine, and we were talking about, like, it's something that we would want to show our kids, but I was explaining to them, I don't think you obviously want to show it to your kids, and I think they would appreciate it being at a young age, that it's cool, it's colorful with the interdimensional beings and stuff like this. But I agree, I don't think they would grasp the concepts because they don't have the experiences to back that up. And I feel like now watching it, and if I was to watch it again in 10 years with the new life experiences that I've had in this time period, it would definitely give me a different look and meaning towards this film. Yes, I feel like it is a movie for all ages, but I think the true potential of this movie is actually for adults, and I think it's going to be off-putting for a lot of adults because it's a cartoonish movie, and they're like, it's not for me, but I think it definitely is for adults.
I think so too, and I think it's the perfect, to use an animation to try to capture these concepts of souls. I think would have been hard to do in with real humans, and I think being able to show like that afterlife, how that concept is. Like I've always thought about souls, and you know, I've had those spiritual journeys where I'm thinking like, you know, you get into thought, you're like, where do souls come from? And this kind of like oversimplifies it. And I thought that was kind of pretty cool to show that different realm outside of the material. And yeah, I thought was, not a lot of movies do that.
No, definitely, because it's such a difficult content, I feel like, to address, because they're talking about what happens when we die. And obviously, both of us are raised in the United States, and it's predominantly a Christian. I don't know what you were raised as, but I don't identify with a religion, and I would say that the closest thing to me would be Christianity, just because that's what's been around me. And I feel like, just speaking from that perspective, it handled the issue of dying in a way that was unifying. You know, like I don't think if you're a Muslim or if you're Hindu or Buddhist, you can be offended with what this movie said, because it was still ambiguous as far as the escalators and what's going into the great beyond. But it focused on something that was that sounds nice, you know. So, but it was it dealt with. I feel like everybody's like, what happens when we die? But nobody has really ever asked the question, where do souls come from, or how are personalities made? And I think that's the creative like take on this film.
Right.
You know?
And it did, like, you know, thinking about it and the whole concept of the souls, and let's talk about 22. Like, she must have been an old soul for a while, because she's number 22 out of like billions of souls, right?
Exactly.
So that kind of, to me, kind of spoke to that concept of like old souls. And it's like, you know, you meet people in life and you're like, hey, that person kind of has like an old soul, and like maybe they've been around for a while, and then maybe they've come back and had great mentors in life, you know? So that was a pretty cool concept in itself.
I agree. I also think, though, with the great mentors, though, if you look at that wall she had with all her mentors, and she had all these people that we would consider historical, and they would be fantastic mentors, but she ends up going into her anxiety or that like grief monster form, because all of her mentors are always bagging on her, because they know what their life is about, but they're supposed to help her figure out what hers is, you know? And I feel like they were trying to show, like, I don't want to say what they were, but for me it's like, you have so many people who are trying to impose their life on you, but she has to figure it out on her own, and she had to go and live life to really know what it was about. You know?
And that was really cool, seeing the growth of both 22 and Joe, Joe Gardner. And I'd say for 22, like, she started off as like a very cynical character, you know, kind of meh about everything. You remember those scenes? She was like, meh, you know, and Joe was he was like just very kind of selfish. He was kind of a hard character to like in the beginning, because he had very selfish intentions. But you see both their growth aspects. For you, which character did you feel like was your favorite character, or who'd you relate to more?
Out of the two? I feel like, that's a very good question. I feel like 22, but I feel like it's maybe because she's represented as younger, and Joe Gardner is represented as older. But I think that her character arc is more in line with like the trajectory of my life as it is now, as opposed to someone who's, let's say they already found their passion and they realize that maybe that's not what life was about, was the passion about living in the moment. Whereas she learned that, but she learns it from a younger perspective, I feel like. So I got to go with 22. What about you?
Definitely 22 as well. But there's aspects of, you know, Joe's life, and that's pretty bomb.
It is fantastic.
Mexican Coke.
Yeah,
nice.
Pretty much.
But you know, there's aspects of Joe's life I can relate to as well. You know, sometimes you get so focused on certain goals or career growth and you know, your real passions, that it kind of takes you out of being present, you know, because you're so focused. There's a line in there where he says, you know, oh, I can't die now, I just started living, you know. So this whole time he really hasn't been living, you know. And like so I think a lot of people can relate to that. You know, I watched it with my brother-in-law, and he was just like, damn, you know, it's a deep movie, you know?
Yeah, it really is. And like the first time I watched it, I felt like, no, I'm sorry, the second time I watched it, I was thinking the first time I watched it, so much just went right over my head. You know what I mean? It was later at night. I watched it the second time during the day, so maybe I was more awake. But it was just, it's fantastic. I feel like since watching that movie, I've been going out and looking at flowers a lot more. You know what I mean? Just staring, trying to appreciate the little things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there was a scene in there when he's like going through his pockets with, after like 22 was in his body, just collecting all the simple stuff, right? And yeah, man, that's what it's all about, dude. That's the main takeaway. It's like,
what was your favorite scene in the movie?
Favorite scene, okay. One of my favorite scenes was in the very beginning when he goes from, when he's like in the afterlife, his near-death experience, and he goes from the great beyond into the great before. That whole scene where he's like, this crazy animation. That was really cool. And then that ethereal world was really nice. And so I like that, just that very beginning and his transition into that. What was your favorite scene?
I have two, but my favorite scene, and I've been talking about it a lot, is the barber scene, the barbershop scene.
Okay.
And I think that's such a pivotal moment in the character arc, because that's really where she learns about living and he learns about appreciating the little things and having a conversation.
Okay.
But I think what this movie is trying to do is to promote black culture and to promote it in mainstream media. But I feel like it did it in such a way that it's not forcing it, it's not pushing it, it's so organic, and it really showed through this like barbershop. And I think comparing, or the opposite side of that, is his mom's tailor shop, because like there's one where it's all the men are conglomerating, and then the tailor shop is all the women are conglomerating.
Okay,
like how they
I didn't
talk.
even notice that.
I felt like it was such a great positive insight into the culture, and it was so meaningful to the story. That was my favorite first scene. And then the second is after he's done with his performance with Dorothea Williams, he asks her like, what now? And then she gives him that story about the fish, and he says, I'm looking for the ocean. And he's like, you're in it, but this is just water, And I think that would be like the main takeaway for the film, is that a lot of people don't appreciate what they have because they're looking for something bigger, but they don't realize that it's like right there in front of them.
Right. Man, that's pretty profound, man. Just that scene right there, it's just like a simple line, but it really is profound. But okay, I see what you mean with favorite scenes and like getting the meaning out of those scenes. There's a few of those for me, and definitely the barbershop scene. It's like what stood out to me in that scene was, what was the barber's name? Do you remember his name?
Ooh, no, damn.
I forgot his name, but he originally wanted to be a veterinarian. He was telling 22, right? And she's like, oh man, that must suck, you're a barber. And I was like, no, hold up, I'm still happy, It's like, just because, your path doesn't turn out the way you expected, it doesn't mean you can't, be ready to live and enjoy life for what it is, So that was a lesson right there, and that was a great scene.
Yeah, that was one of the best, I think, in the whole movie. I love that scene.
And I think one of my favorite scenes, because it shows kind of like the development of 22, was when Connie came over to Joe's house. She was about to quit, quit music. And 22 kind of like convinces her otherwise, kind of just related with her like, oh yeah, you should quit. And then Connie's like, what? Wait, hold on, let me play this, And so I think when 22 was able to change Connie's mind to stay in music, she was like, wait, how'd I do that? How'd that happen? Why'd you change your mind? Because I feel like 22 related to Connie in that, she just wants to quit with life.
If she can do it, I can do it.
Exactly.
I think that's what she said, something like that.
So yeah, that was pretty cool turning point for 22, one of my favorite scenes.
And what do you think about the trans-dimensional beings? Like Terry and Jerry, Jerry's were the nice ones and Terry was the crazy one. But what do you think about the use of them being two-dimensional in the three-dimensional like editing?
I thought that was a pretty, they said a line in there where they're perceived the way your mind can perceive them. So like the way you're seeing them that's not their, ultimate form. It's kind of like what you see. And to me, they kind of represented like almost like angels in a way, like where some people might see angels and other people might see different beings. And I think that's kind of like what they represented, kind of like, gives you guidance in the afterlife or in the spiritual realm. What was your take on that?
I mean, I don't know if I would agree. I feel like they got to be what we would call angels or spiritual guides or whatever. They didn't really give them a name, I think, so all people of all faiths and religions could associate with this, and that's why they just gave them such a generic name like Jerry and Terry. I thought that the idea of using the two-dimensional animation was an interesting choice along the lines of like how we can conceive them, but it differentiates them because we're so used, especially now, to seeing three-dimensional editing and having a full, like a rounded shape. as opposed to the squiggly lines and the two-dimensional, and I think it made it easier for them to go into like that moose car formation and then transform into buildings and stuff. So
that was pretty crazy. Yeah. And then Terry, he was kind of just overly obsessed with like the numbers, and he kind of represented that, I don't know, kind of like when someone just becomes, you know, way too obsessed and disconnected. He kind of represented that as well.
Yeah, which I also think is another important thing that they mentioned on. I really love the wind guy, the captain.
Moonwind.
Moonwind. Oh my God, I love that. And that whole area, the zone, right? And it's a very important part of the movie, is about how you can go into the zone, and that's where he was when he was playing the piano, but you can get stuck there. And I really like how they have the guy who they saved the lost soul, and he's like, make a trade, make a trade, make a trade, and then you see he's a stockbroker and he's just not living, you know? And I felt like that was not necessarily a warning, but you know, be careful, because your obsession can take you away from life.
Definitely, and that, yeah, so you can be just a lost soul and be in that area, or you can just be overly obsessed with your job and also just be in that lost state. And yeah, Moonwind and, you know, his boat and saving souls, I thought that was a cool concept, because, you know, there's spiritual teachers out there, and it kind of like speaks onto like there's people out there helping people, you know, search for their souls, and that was really cool to see that aspect in the film without like overly doing it.
Yeah, and I think also, like, if you wanted to look deeper into it, you could say that not to judge a book by its cover, because this guy's doing his astral projection to go save these souls, but you go find him and he's a sign flipper and he looks like he's out of his mind, you know what I mean? But he's out there doing good work. So I think it was just the whole layout of this. And when we talked about, you know, doing this video, I wanted to watch the movie and be like, what can I talk bad about this movie? Like, what can I say? And I don't have one bad thing in my notes about this movie. I don't think I could say they could have done this. Like, the only thing I could say is I wish it was longer.
Exactly.
It's only an hour and 47. I was like, that's not really long enough.
And I'd be cool if they like actually showed like, okay, who has 22 become? She must become someone super important, man. She's had so much experience in the afterlife or the before life. So who knows? This could be like some Pixar universe spin-off, you know?
Damn, that would be nuts.
Yeah.
I got also, do you remember In and Out or Inside Out?
Yeah.
I got a little vibe like that because that was a really heavy topic as well.
It was.
And I felt like maybe they always dealt with it, but I don't think so. Lion King and Snow White, they don't deal with concepts and themes like this. You know what I mean?
No.
So I feel like the new trajectory they're going in is trying to educate kids about life issues at a younger age, but through a friendly way, you know?
Anyways, we are, I think that's really going to wrap it up for this video. I'm going to give this film Soul a 10 out of 10 for me. I'll build out a new rating criteria, but it's just going to follow the same film rating criteria. But this is a 10 out of 10. I have not one bad thing I could say about this film. Just well done, Disney. Well done, Pixar. Hats off to you, but I've got a helmet on, so I can't do that. But you know what I mean. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more film reviews on this channel. And you guys stay safe out there. And don't forget, you know, if this movie has taught me anything, appreciate the little things, yo. Enjoy your day. Have a good one, you guys. And we will see you next time. Peace.